was looking at my last posted video, and it's been at least a year and a half, I think, and thought an update was due. I have moved to Japan for an undefined amount of time. I am currently a student in Shibuya at a language school called Shibuya Gaigo Gakoen. It offers Japanese language courses in 10 levels, 1 through 10, and I just this week got my results that I passed level 3. That is one update. The experience of being in Japan has been very enjoyable, exciting, and interesting. I still have moments that it's hard to believe that I'm really there. I found it easier to adapt to than other busy cities in the world, because even though it's busy, there tends to be a process to it, a kind of an understood flow to things, and in certain senses the general level of customer service is a little nicer and easier to get through, but that can vary by person for sure. There are definitely other things to bring up, but I wanted to just briefly cover in regards to autism and anxiety. In a way, I feel better because I've had stable, comfortable, supportive, happy environment for a good while now. And so that made me think that maybe things are better, and so I can focus more on the things that are difficult because there aren't as many factors changing. There's just me. There are still social difficulties to go through. There are a number of other things that I try to day-to-day examine. And I am not sure how to present the information other than the way I usually do, so my recent worries have been in regards to age and autism. Whether certain symptoms or difficulties would become more intense with age. I had never spent much time thinking about or hearing about those details, and so I tried to do a little research, and I discovered that there hasn't been much research on it, and I'm sure it's just a matter of it's expensive to study something over time, and autism already has difficulty getting such support and funding, but what I could find was really just an expansion on what is already thought about, is that it varies by person, and there are certain things that can become more difficult, but a number of people over time develop coping techniques and allows them to better manage a social interaction or manage the difficult moments by however they would manage it, whether it be through stimming or making preparations before certain events or predictable moments. And then as far as during panic attacks or build-ups, there are coping techniques that might be able to be prepared for, but having a support structure and people to be in contact with, and if situation is called for, as needed medication. And so I've had worries about how age would affect me, or how being autistic would affect my age, or even just anxiety. there are times that the amount of stuff I feel and go through really take a toll. There are times I'm very, very tired, and it feels like my mind doesn't really ever stop. And so I'm not really sure how to feel about it, except as usual, there are times that certain thoughts will get into my head and it's very, very hard to get them out. And recently I've noticed, like, on a couple occasions, that my mind thinks about aging and getting old and getting to that inevitable end, and the thought won't leave my mind, and it'll keep going to the point where it tries to comprehend what will happen, what it'll be like aging, old age, and so on. And such a thing is not computable. It cannot be calculated, it cannot be predicted. Logically, there's no way to know for sure, and my mind will get stuck trying to do everything it can to comprehend those moments. And I've tried to find ways of describing how it feels, but the closest I've gotten to is it feels like my mind is trying to divide by zero, and it can be mentally overwhelming, and also it can even be painful, and have a couple times caused a spike in anxiety. And so with exercise and healthy eating and trying to focus on positive things and making the most of the moment, I think I've been able to get by. And I'm not sure how I'm going to cope or handle when those moments come up again. Maybe I can try to talk about them, but we'll see. Also, with that difficulty, in addition to that, I've noticed just a wave, waves of anxiety and difficulty around this time of year. September being the month of birthdays and stuff, which 2 years ago, a couple birthdays in the family were spent at the hospital in Bangor, Maine, when my mother had lost consciousness and was in the hospital for a while and had eventually passed away. And so this time of year, from the beginning of September for pretty much the whole month, it just proves to be a bit difficult. And it is something I'm still trying to process exactly how I should feel about it. And no one can really tell me how to feel about it. It'll just happen. Because of those several difficulties and concerns that I'm having, I'm investing more energy thinking about looking into therapy and medication. There are a couple resources here in Japan that involve English speaking psychiatrists or psychologists, and someone who can help go through the process and prescribe medication. And I'm hopeful but also very worried about my ability to navigate it, because it hasn't necessarily gone very well in the past. Given the circumstances were different, and this time would be different. And so I will try to focus on being hopeful I want to make sure I include good things, day to day and overall experiences here in my life right now are very positive. I've met a lot of people and had a lot of great experiences. I've seen and traveled to a number of places that people dream about. And yeah, I am very grateful. And so I would like to expand more and make these more regular as a means of self-reflection and checking in, but also include maybe some of my travels and experiences throughout Tokyo. I would like to expand on a couple things, but I wanted to at least give an update. And I wanted to thank you for those who take the time and know that it's okay to want to think about therapy. It's okay to think about medication. It's okay to think about just focusing or taking your time invested on a hobby. Whichever path you want to take is okay. And it's okay to get help. It's okay to have a combination of work on it yourself and get help. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're just built differently. You see things differently. And you are as unique as, you are unique. Everyone has specific details about them that are what make them who they are, and you are the way you are. And I am thankful for a number of things that make me who I am. And I'm happy to be able to share experiences with others. And so I thank you, and I hope to check in more regularly.